What up, Hyperchange? Welcome to another episode of Moonshot Monday, not on a Monday. Today, we're gonna be talking about why I believe Airbnb should launch its own airline. Now, this is a follow-up to Moonshot Monday we put out in late August of 2017 about Airbnb putting out an airline, reverse merging with Alaska Air Group to do an IPO, kill two birds with one stone, get the airline, go public at the same time. And I still think this is an unbelievable idea, but recently we just got news from the Times, a British report that said that Airbnb is actually considering launching their own airline. It looks like we are getting closer. This isn't just Hyperchange speculating anymore. Rumors saying that they're working on this news. So I thought it was awesome time for an update because this is, I think, 100% coming. I believe Airbnb will launch an airline. You know, the company's goal in this article that was quoted, it said, "We definitely want to make sure though that we can get into the end-to-end trip business." And this is exactly in line with the vision that think Airbnb is trying to build, which is they want to control the entire travel experience from the second you step out of the door of your apartment to the second you step into the door of somebody's house or apartment across the world. Airbnb, they already are letting you rent people's homes across the world. I think the next step is vertically integrating into travel and actually getting you there. If you think about the process of going on a plane, boarding, going through security, having the crappy airline terminal food, every part of the flying process I think is ripe for disruption. And I think it makes so much sense for Airbnb to leverage their access to cheap capital to build out an airline, to launch this service, to make traveling so much more fun and easier and more accessible for people around the world, which will allow more people to buy Airbnbs. So one thing that they say in this article also is, of all the big tech companies, the way Amazon has approached building their business to a one-stop shop for shopping is probably the most similar to what we're trying to do, be a one-stop shop for travel. Airbnb is laying all the clues down here, basically saying that they want to be your only go-to destination. You know, I think this means even partnering with someone like Lyft to get you to the airport, then when you're at the airport, going into your own Airbnb terminal, then going onto a plane that's controlled by Airbnb, all the restaurants, all the lounges, all the gates are manicured by Airbnb to make this the best traveling experience possible. You know, I was looking into this even more, and apparently Brian Chesky even tweeted in earlier 2017 saying, let's say you could wave a magic wand and have the perfect flying experience. What would that look like? He went on to reference how, you know, supersonic jets can make it faster, electric planes can make it cheaper, and, you know, just how to improve the travel experience. Before we go into who they should partner with and why, a little bit of background on Airbnb as a company. Founded in 2007, Airbnb was just started off the founder's apartment, very humble beginnings. They laid out 3 air mattresses in their apartment, put an ads on Craigslist, basically offering designers who are coming to the city for a conference a place to stay, including breakfast. They actually got people to buy it, so they started building a website around this new service and called it Airbnb. Then in 2009, they did Y Combinator, the famous Silicon Valley incubator. That took the company to the next level, legitimized them. Then in 2011, Airbnb hit 1 million nights booked. Ashton Kutcher came on as a major investor and strategic advisor to the company. The rest is history. Airbnb has mastered, you know, hundreds of millions of guests and check-ins around the globe. This company has disrupted travel permanently, boasts a valuation that is on par with some of the world's largest hotel chains already. Now they are also moving into higher end services like luxury rentals and luxury apartments. You know, Airbnb has typically been a lower price alternative to hotels. Now they are moving up the scale, really trying to capture those luxury travelers. Also, what I think is the biggest thing that Airbnb is going to do for its business is launch something called experiences, which is a way for when you actually get to a country to do different activities, you know, really immerse yourself in the culture, get involved with locals. Not only will this make the traveling experience so much better and give you something to do that's authentic, but it's going to be a huge job opportunity for people around the world. I think one of the most under the radar, on the come up jobs in the future is going to be an Airbnb experience host. Come to New York City, I show you all the different startups that are influencing Hyperchange here. There's just a million things you can do with experiences. You know, come to my house, I'll cook you an authentic dinner with local ingredients. Maybe I can even take you to the store and you can come shopping with me, go on a hike here, see the Statue of Liberty. So I think Airbnb is just getting started and scratching the surface of their futuristic business model. This is one of my favorite startups in the entire world. So what are Airbnb's financials? I did a bunch of Googling, tried to put the pieces together to show you guys what the financials look like. They're really impressive. According to Bloomberg, revenue was about 2.6 billion in 2017. Revenue was up 80% in 2016, according to Business Insider. They had revenue of 900 million in 2015, 340 million in 2013. These are just all little blog posts. I'll put a link in the description. So I pieced them together, and this is what it turns out to be. Airbnb's estimated revenue scaling from 340 million in 2013 to about 2.6 billion in 2017. And it's important to remember, this is net revenue. If you book a room for $100, this isn't Airbnb booking $100 in revenue. This is only them booking that, $15, $20 cut that they actually take. So the margins on this revenue are very, very high, software-like margins, and I think that's going to insinuate a very high price sales multiple valuation, but we'll get to that in a sec. If I had to estimate revenue for 2018, I'm looking at about 4 billion in net revenue for Airbnb. This assumes a growth rate of about 53%. This is kind of just a back of the napkin guess, but I think it's going to be on track. You can Google it and tell me if I'm wrong, leave a link below. How we value Airbnb. According to the Bloomberg article, they made a profit of about 93 million in 2017, but I don't think we should be valuing them on profitability because I don't think they're trying to make a profit right now. Airbnb is probably going for that startup, Amazon, Tesla-esque model where they're investing everything or basically everything in growth just to get bigger. In their latest March 2017 funding round, Airbnb was valued at $31 billion, raised a $1 billion valuation. My guess is the company, if we value them at 10 times my projected 2018 sales of 4 billion, they're looking at a $40 billion market cap. And I'd say we even have upside to that just because they're going to be growing so consistently. They have such a big moat. This is such high margin revenue. I'm valuing them almost like a software as a service company in terms of price sales multiples. I think the financials are a lagging indicator of the earnings power of Airbnb because of the moat that they built. And that's one of the reasons I'm valuing them so highly. This is the fun part. I am pitching with this episode that Airbnb should reverse merger with an already public airline. This way, they can acquire the airline, start revamping it, rebranding it, upscaling it to the Airbnb vision, and at the same time, go public without all of the hassle of doing an IPO, filing an S1, hiring bankers, spending millions and billions of dollars to actually get public. This would be a much, much cheaper way to go public for Airbnb, would be merging with an airline that already is. There's a couple options that I think make a ton of sense. The one that I put in my last episode was Alaska Air Group. Why? Because they're from Seattle. I'm from Seattle. I love their airline. They just bought Virgin in late 2016. Virgin is the most millennial-esque, trendy, hipster, sort of culture-wise the best fit with Airbnb. So I think from that perspective, Alaska Air Group makes a ton of sense. In terms of financials, Alaska Air Group is valued at about $8 billion, does around the same amount in revenue, only a 1x price sales multiple. So if Airbnb merged with them, my guess is at a valuation of 40 billion, they would have to basically quintuple the amount of stock outstanding, give Airbnb $40 billion worth of stock. The combined company would be trading for about $48 billion. You'd be looking at a company that's doing about 12 billion in revenue, 4 billion from Airbnb, 8 billion from the airline, worth about 50 billion, about a 3.5, 4 times blended price sales multiple. Overnight, we have one of the most exciting companies in the world public, Airbnb, airline hybrid, be a huge win for Alaska Airlines shareholders as the entire company gets re-rated towards this Airbnb halo effect. Also, it would provide all these Airbnb employees who've been getting paid in stock for years liquidity to be able to sell their stock in the open market. I think this would help Airbnb continue to attract top talent. Another company I think they might actually do this with is Delta. Delta's a lot bigger, about $40 billion in market cap, also about 40 billion in revenue, keeping consistent with that 1x price sales multiple. So if Airbnb valued with them, that would just be about a 50-50 split. They double the amount of stock outstanding, turns into an $80 billion behemoth, half Airbnb, half Delta. They slowly upgrade Delta to the Airbnb model. Interesting to note that Delta and Airbnb have already partnered where you can book an Airbnb sort of through Delta and help and earn points through that. Delta is actually, though, not the only airline that Airbnb has done that with. I also found they are partnering with a company called Jetstar, which is a value-based Australian airline, to do the same thing where you can book an Airbnb through them and get extra points and etc. It's very clear that Airbnb is getting one step closer, inching its way towards being an airline company. I think they should just make the leap, reverse merge with one of these companies that's already public, which already has all the expertise of operating planes, running gates, the regulations, the permits, the licenses to be an airline, already has the space at the world's leading airports. These are all things that are going to take a long, long time for Airbnb to build out on their own. If they want to give up less stock, then I think Alaska Air Group is the move. If they want to go with a bigger company that they're already working with, I think Delta could be the move. Those are the two companies I would be watching. In conclusion, the company eventually wants to control the traveling experience from the second you leave your door to the second you walk in somebody else's door across the globe, and vertically integrating into the actual travel of how you get in between there is clearly on the map for the company, and buying an airline or reverse merging with one is a way to accelerate that transition and evolution of the business model. Airbnb has stated a goal of becoming becoming a $100 billion travel company. I think they're well on their way there even without buying an airline, but they can get there a lot quicker by doing this deal. This is Hyperchange, Moonshot Monday. Would love to know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and huge shout out to all of our Patreon supporters who make this possible. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.